Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Goals Do Come True with me, Doug Bennett, the Goals Guy. Today, I am so pleased to be joined by Darren Jamieson. Now, we have a little bit of to-in and fro-in when we meet up from time to time. Now, this guy obviously could wipe the floor with me because he's a TEDx speaker. He's an author. He's an agency co-founder for Engage Web, I think it is. And he's also a Liverpool Comedy Festival winner. He's going to correct me if I got the name of his business wrong, and we're going to make sure that the information's contained in the show notes. But Darren, over to you. Tell us a little bit about goal setting, how it fits into your life, and a little bit of your journey over the years.
Well, it's funny you should ask that because I have a bit of a different approach to it. I don't look at things as being goals. I don't set goals as such. I set things I'm going to do, and then I do them because goals can be missed. But if you set things you're going to do and then you set a course for doing them, then it's just something that you naturally do that you're going to achieve. So it always kind of irks me a little when people say, oh, my goal this year is to do this in my business, or my goal this year is to lose this much weight or keep this regime going. But they don't actually have a plan to get there. So with me, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. And this is going to happen by this date. It's not a goal. It's just something that I'm going to do. And I've always done that. So, for example, I was at New Year's Eve in York this year with the girlfriend and a couple of friends, and they were all saying, what resolutions are you going to do this year? I never do resolutions because what's the point? Nobody ever sticks to resolutions. I'm not suddenly going to change my whole lifestyle over the base of 12 midnight on the 31st of December, and it's all going to be different. No, that doesn't work. This is what I'm going to achieve, and this is how I'm going to do it. I'm not doing a New Year's resolution because that's pointless. So that's my attitude towards goals. I don't really see them as goals. I just see them as things that are going to happen, and this is what I'm going to do to make them happen, if that makes sense.
Is it just like an improved to-do list, though?
No, because, well, it depends how far improved you want it to actually be. But no, I wouldn't say it was a to-do list because the things I say I'm going to do are quite big. I'll give you, for instance, many years ago, I was talking about buying an Aston Martin. Ever since I saw the episode on Top Gear back in 2004, I think it was, I'd just finished working at Game and I was living back in South Wales at the time. And I was working as a web designer for a company, probably earning about 25 grand a year with a mortgage. And I saw this episode of Top Gear where Jeremy Clarkson drove this Aston Martin DB9 from the Top Gear studio in London down to the south of France. And he raced James May and Richard Hammond on a train to see if he could get there quicker. And he did. Spoiler alert, he won. And I saw that car and thought, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. I would love to have one of them. And then throughout the next maybe 10 years or so, I was thinking, oh, I'd love to have one of them. Whenever one passed me on the street, it was, I'd love to have one of them. Oh, it'd be great. It was more of a dream. It never became any sort of reality. And suddenly it sort of clicked that, why don't I just get one? And the first thing to do is to actually drive one to see if I do genuinely like it. So I set myself a target of, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have one of them. So I went to the dealership in Wilmslow in South Manchester and I test drove one. And funnily enough, I did quite like it. And then I worked out the price of it, and it was actually a lot cheaper than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I'll tell you, it was a second-hand DB9. It was 6 years old, and it was £46,000, which is a lot cheaper than I thought it would be. So I said, right, what do I need to put down as a deposit on this car? Or if I'm going to pay it up front, where can I get that money from? Well, I've got this much money coming in from my company at the end of the year. In April, I think it was. I'm going to need a little bit extra, so I'm going to need a little bit of a bank loan. Can I get that bank loan? Yes, I can. How am I going to do that? All right, well, let's just put a deposit down on it and buy it. None of that would have happened if I hadn't made it happen and said, right, well, I'm going to go and test drive it. If I had just kept in the dreaming phase of seeing it go past me on the motorway and going, I'd love to have one of them one day. And there's so many people never get out of that phase. They just think, I'd love to be able to do this. I'd love to travel the world. I'd love to go to Japan, which I'm going to this year, by the way, because it's my 50th. I'd love to own an Aston Martin. Well, do it then.
Yeah.
Find out, what does it cost? Drive it. See what you actually need to do. What kind of money do you need to raise for it? How do you make that happen? Don't just sit there and dream about it. Make it happen. So if you say that's an elevated to-do list, then yeah, I suppose it is. But that's the way I do things.
I was being dry.
You're always being dry, Doug.
No, okay. So what would you say is a big, hairy, audacious goal for you then at this moment in time that you're okay to share with the world? Because sometimes
a big, hairy, audacious goal
that are tucked away, you know.
Okay. Well, I did have a big, hairy, audacious goal that I was going to do this year that I have abandoned, but I've abandoned it for political reasons. A few years ago, I set myself a target of I wanted to go to a Super Bowl. And again, I worked out which cities were hosting the Super Bowls, what the costs were going to be, which was the best one to go to. And I ended up going to the Super Bowl in 2020 in Miami, which was February, right before lockdown. So only just made it. But it was an amazing experience seeing the Jets go over as they sang the national anthem. Fantastic experience. And I set myself a target after that of I want to go to a World Cup final, a football World Cup final. And the obvious one, I didn't want to go to Qatar. I didn't want to go to Russia. The obvious one was going to be New York, because it's in New York this year. But the costs for it were not what a normal World Cup final would be. So the cheapest ticket for the World Cup final this year is £4,000 and you're up in the gods. If you want pitch side, forget about it, as they would say in New York. And because of the whole Trump thing, I don't like what's going on in America. I've decided, you know what? I'm not going to give them the money. I could do it, but I'm not going to. So I've abandoned that about going to a World Cup final. I'll wait until FIFA gets rid of corruption, which will probably never happen. And that it's something I'm comfortable doing. It's not the cost, it's the people. But one target I have got for this year, which I'm still having to put strategies in place to work on because it's something I'm not there yet doing, is I've got many, but one particular YouTube channel that I need to get to 10,000 subscribers. Until I get it to 10,000 subscribers, its reach doesn't increase. And that's a stepping stone goal because I eventually want to get it to 100,000 subscribers because I want one of them silver plaques. I want one of them YouTube silver plaques, and I'm going to have one. But I need to get it to 10,000 before the reach increases and the views and the subscribers go up a lot more because it's a cumulative effect once you get over that boundary. But at the moment, it's just under 5,000 subscribers. So if I keep going the way I'm going, at the level I'm going, I'm not going to do that this year. It's going to be 2029, I think, before it hits 10,000. And that's not good enough. That's not going to happen. So I'm putting in practices now for tricks, techniques, things I can do to inject those subscribers, but not cheating, not paying for it. I won't do that. Organically to get that to 10,000. That's my big audacious goal. Because if I keep going the way I'm going, I'm nowhere near it. So I need to make changes for it to happen, and it has to be this year. That's my big, fluffy, audacious, hairy, bog-ass goal.
One. Yeah, and we can't call it a goal. It's a target anyway.
It's a target. It's a target that I'll hit.
Awesome. So how are you going to hit it? What are the tips and tricks?
Shit, Doug.
Well, no, because, it's like there might be some listeners on here that, have a YouTube channel and they want to find out from, I nearly said an expert. But...
Fucking hell. I've come here to be insulted by you. I've got my own podcast to be insulted on.
No, but how, you've got a better idea than most on how that might happen. So what sort of strategies are you adopting? Just for people like me that have got a very, very tiny YouTube channel.
Oh, YouTube channel. I was wondering how you're going to end that sentence.
Yeah, where I was going there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got very, very, very tiny. It's very small, very small. One of the things that I've not been doing that I have now started to do is to leverage the shorts. because previously I've not really been using shorts with that, and shorts should be used as a mechanism to leverage the longer videos. So each video that you do, I mean, you'll probably do this for this podcast, I do it for mine, create a number of short videos out of it, a number of short clips out of it. I've not been doing that for this particular channel because the videos on it are quite short anyway. They're usually 4 to 7 minutes in length. But I have now started creating shorts out of those, which are then broadcast after the video goes live, not before it, which I was initially doing to use them as sneak peeks, adverts, trailers. They now go afterwards, which are then linked to the main video as a, what's the link called in the shorts? It's associated video, I think it's called. And you pick an associated video to go with it so that when somebody watches that, the main video is linked. Because the shorts have a much higher reach. They always have a much higher reach. If they're then used afterwards to leverage the video that goes live, so the video that goes live gets an increase in views in the first 24 hours, it's more likely to grow and spiral from there. If it doesn't get those views in the first 24 hours, it's not going to work. So the thing I have not been doing, and I have just started doing, is using the shorts to promote the video after the video goes live and then linking back to it. That's one of the things I've been doing to inject and increase the views to get the leverage up for the videos.
Okay, so does that have to all happen within the 24 hours? So, is it?
Ideally, yeah. So LinkedIn has a similar impact, but LinkedIn's is much shorter. It's about, depending on who you believe, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, depending on who tells you this. If you don't get that initial engagement, viewership, reaction to it in that time, it'll be buried. So the first 24 hours on YouTube is critical. It has to have that. If you put something live and it gets pretty much nothing within 24 hours, it's as good as dead,
It's
really.
dead. Yeah.
It's never going to take off. So it's about that first thing. So things you need to do is to get people looking at that video in the first 24 hours. So I've started sending out newsletters to a subscriber base each time a video goes live to let them know it's live, pumping them back into the video. I'll use LinkedIn's newsletter functionality because if you create a newsletter on LinkedIn, all of your LinkedIn followers are automatically invited to subscribe to the newsletter. So then when you publish the newsletter, which works exactly the same as an article on LinkedIn, you can then use that to promote your YouTube video. Every time the video goes live or every time a podcast episode goes live, you put a LinkedIn article up in the LinkedIn newsletter about that podcast video or about that video that you're promoting, linking back to it. So all of the subscribers on LinkedIn are notified about it to click through to it. It's things like that to get people from other platforms into the video. All about doing that within those first 24 hours. But I do it usually within the first 2 to 3 hours so that we can get that spiral going quickly.
Yeah. And do you use a tool to do all of that? Because I heard that, if you're using scheduling tools, it reduces reach. But, it's like we can't sit there manually doing all of this stuff, presumably.
Yeah, that's half the problem. So with the shorts videos, they're scheduled. So I know we had this conversation before this. You use Riverside for that. I use Zoom to create the video. If it's an interview video, or I'll use cameras to video, I'll edit it in Adobe Premiere. I'll export it. I'll use something called, what's it called? Render Cut. I think it's called Render Cut to create captions on the videos and export them. They'll be uploaded to YouTube and scheduled. But the weird, annoying thing about YouTube is you cannot link a video to another video using that associated video. If it's that initial video is scheduled, it has to be published for you to link to it, which is crap. I wish they changed that. But the good thing is you can use the YouTube app really quickly, tap into the video. As soon as the video goes live, tap into the short that's scheduled after it, click update on the video that you can associate it with, click save, takes you 5 seconds. So I'll use the app for that. In terms of scheduling tools on social media, no. I tend not to do that. I tend to be there and publish it on the day. But I know my videos go live on a Tuesday. I'm in the office on a Tuesday. So that's okay. I'm sat in front of a computer moments after it's gone live, so I can do it. So no, I won't use scheduling software unless there's a really good reason I'm not around to do it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey on the comedy scene then.
I wouldn't call it a journey. It's more I fell into it. No, well, I've always wanted to be a comedian because I think I'm hilarious. And I know you agree with me, obviously.
Naturally.
Yep. I can see you nodding. Yep. And I've always wanted to do it, but didn't really want to get up in front of a hostile audience. I had a chat with somebody today that's performed at the comedy club and has performed at pubs around York. I thought, I don't really want to do something like that because they might not like you. And quite frankly, I may come off as sort of bravado, but I've got very thin skin. I want people to like me. So when the opportunity came to perform stand-up comedy for a charity, I thought, you know what? This is going to be a loving, receptive audience that wants everyone to do well. This is the perfect opportunity to do it. And then when I discovered they give you training from a stand-up comedian for 6 weeks beforehand, once a week, absolutely outstanding. And I would have paid for this because the one thing I didn't realize before I went into it, I think I had an inkling, but stand-up comedy and sales are very similar. So with stand-up comedy and with sales, you have to know what the person you're talking to wants. You have to know what they like and what they respond to. And then based on their reaction, you then have to adjust and tailor what you're going to say. So if you tell a joke that doesn't quite land, you might have to rephrase the punchline and do it again, or change the theme of what you're doing because it's not working with that audience. Exactly the same with sales. You need to be able to think on your feet. You need to be able to remember stuff and call back to it. So for anyone that's done sales training or has been through sales training, you'll say something at the beginning of the conversation about the problem your potential client has, and then you'll reference back to it at the end. So they go, oh, yeah, no, you're right. I remember that. That's why I need this solution that you've got. And that's a callback. And that's exactly the same as in comedy. So a comedian will drop something early on and then they'll reference it later on and the audience will congratulate themselves on getting it. Oh, I remember that. That was really funny. He's referenced it. And it makes the audience like you. The skills are parallel. So I would recommend anybody that's in business, anybody that has to sell to an audience, sell to potential clients, do presentations, do talks from stages, do comedy training, because you will find it invaluable with the cross compatibility of the skills. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's open loops and closing loops and stuff like that. And you can have 2 or 3 stories interweaving, but you just have to close them off at the end of the
100%. Because comedy is telling. If you're doing story-based comedy, you're telling 2 stories at the same time. It's the story the audience thinks you're telling and the story you're actually telling, which is where the punchline is. So they make a false assumption on what you're saying, and then you tell them the real story, and bang, that's it. And it's the same with sales.
Yeah, very clever. Okay,
Thank
and
you.
so no, I like that. I do like that. And you've done a TEDx talk.
I did.
How long ago was that?
That was one of my goals that I wanted to do. So again, for years, I was thinking, I'd love to do a TEDx talk. Wouldn't that be amazing? But they're not going to come to you and ask you. They're not going to go, hey, Doug, do you want to do a TEDx talk this week? Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You've got to find where they are. And they're all over the country. They're all over the world. Each individual city or town, if it has a TEDx license, will do one a year. So you need to know when is that place you live in or the places nearest you, when are they doing it? It might be this town does it in April, this town does it in November. And they'll take applications for talks, maybe 6 months beforehand, maybe 9 months beforehand. They'll start the application process. And each series will have a theme. So it might be on how to improve the environment, or it might be on education, or it could be on economy. And your talk will need to fit the theme of what they're doing that particular year. And if it doesn't fit it, you're not going to get it. So you then fill in an application form. This is what my talk's going to be. This is what I want to do it on. These are the takeaways I want people to come away from the talk listening. These are examples of talks I've done before. Here's a short video of me doing. There's an example of explaining the talk. And then that'll go through to a selection process where there's lots of professional public speakers or TEDx speakers that will review your application, decide whether you fit in with their talk. And they'll want to get people from different backgrounds, different styles to make sure that it's a varied event for everybody to come and watch. So the first one I applied for was Warrington, and that was maybe 5 years ago, and I didn't get in. But I didn't give up. I found out the next one was going to be in Chester. And I found out who was organising the event. I badgered her until we had a one-to-one, a conversation about it. And I effectively forced my way into it. So I got through to that with a lot less strenuous application process, but I still had to speak to the dean of the university where it was held to convince him that the talk that I was going to do was going to be relevant to their audience, which was students mainly. And mine was about cyberbullying, which was very relevant to students because it was about a school pupil that was bullied by somebody else and how I found the fake Facebook profile that was set up in under an hour using IT means, shall we say, and discussing how I did that, how I found out the identity of it, how anyone else can do it if they wanted to do it, and how the result happened through the school when it was put through and they found the person who did it. So the talk was all about that bullying experience, but I also, as we just talked about with sales and comedy, I ran 2 stories parallel. So the first one was about my experience being bullied. The second was about my son's experience being bullied. And I interwove the 2 to come together to explain how I solved the problems and the problems of both of them. Most people, when they do a TEDx talk, they have notes on the screen in front of them, bullet points on a PowerPoint, and they've got a slide that they click through. I didn't have any because I'd been trained by Tony Gargan and Robert Upright, and I knew what I was doing.
And what you were going to say, and it was your story. Yeah.
It was exactly, it's your story. That's the thing. People worry about when they're doing a talk. What if I forget lines? What if I miss something out? No one's going to know. It's your story. No one else in the room knows it better than you do.
And they haven't got the speech at all to know that you missed a line, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing Hamlet, there's people in the audience are going to know he's missed a bit out. But not when you're doing your own story. They'll never going to know.
So are you going to repeat that experience or is it's a goal that's been, or a situation, a target that's been hit, so there's no need? Or do you want a bigger stage?
Do you know, that is a fantastic question. And if you'd asked me that 2 years ago, I would have said, yes, I want to do it again. However, that has changed. Because I did the stand-up comedy and won in the Liverpool Comedy Festival in 2018. I did it again in 2022, 23, as part of different people that had won previously. And the experience wasn't as good. So the comedian that was training us wasn't as good. He made it all about him and not about the people learning. And he seemed to think his job was to take the piss out of all the other comedians rather than be supportive. The audience wasn't as big. So the first time I did it, there was 200 people in the room. The second time there was about 80 because there was another event being run at the same time on the same night somewhere else for the same organization. I don't know why they did that. I was on last again, and all the people down the left-hand side of the room were there to see the person that was on before me. So as soon as they finished, they fucked off. So there was a big gap down the left-hand side. So the whole experience was nowhere near as good the second time round. And it's kind of like that problem that artists have with your second album. Or if you're a Premier League team and you've just been promoted into the Premier League, your first season you survive, your second season's the difficult one. I've realized now that if I did another TEDx talk, it would never be as good as the first one I did, no matter how good it was, because I did that word perfect, without prompts. The delivery was amazing. The video's incredible. It was absolutely 100% what I wanted it to be. If I did it again, it could only go down. So I don't want to do it again because I don't want to ruin the experience I've already had.
And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So you had a situation and you pulled in a couple of examples, like, as you say, the second comedy club experience sort of reminded you that there was this real possibility that what was to follow isn't going to be as good. And so you change your mind. And that's the perfect thing about, having these targets to go for it. I think, what do they say? If, the ladder of success is leaning against the wrong wall sometimes. The good news is, of course, if you do climb the ladder and you work it out soon enough, you can come down and get back up a lot quicker when it's against the right wall. But so typically my normal questions would be around goals and goal setting, but you've squashed that because you don't have them. But
yeah.
that's fine. So tell us a little bit about what you do then for the people, because we're going to have your stuff in the show notes, and if people gel and like what it is or need what it is that you've got, I want to give them the opportunity to connect with you. So what do you do?
Well, me personally, I do
as little as possible.
As little as possible. As little as possible. Yeah. But the agency I run essentially helps people get business via the internet. Because I had a conversation with somebody yesterday and said, if I'm trying to refer you into someone, what do I say to them? Do I say, oh, do you need a website? Do you need a website? And I had to stop them and say, no, nobody needs a website. Nobody wants a website. Nobody wants digital marketing. Nobody wants to run Facebook ads. Nobody wants that. What they want is the result.
Yep.
It's like nobody wants to go on a property course. They want to know how to make money from property. Nobody wants to take driving lessons. They want to be able to drive a car. So we don't, the phrase I use is that we don't build websites. We build businesses. Because we're not in the market of building websites for people. We're in the market of building businesses for people. So we're looking for those people who've maybe started their business. Maybe they've been in business for 10 years and they want to scale. They want to grow. They want to scale their business to the point that it works without them, that the leads are coming in without them having to do anything. And maybe they can get investment for their business because it's worth more, or they could sell it and retire. Whatever they want to do, they can live the freedom that they want. Because what we do is make that happen online. We make sure that their online real estate, whether that be a website, whether that be through social media, whether that be through Google, whatever it is bringing them the business, bringing them the leads, bringing them the inquiries in the area that they want them. Because that's important as well. You can get inquiries from areas that are not right for you. And there's nothing worse than wasting time dealing with inquiries that are not what you want.
Yeah.
Because it costs you money and you're not making any money from it in the first place. It's better if you're just not getting any inquiries, because at least then it's not costing you time.
Yes. Yeah. And
we grow people's businesses.
Yeah, that is a lot of people don't really necessarily appreciate that. It's like, if you're spending time on duff leads, you're using up your time, which costs. So yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah.
So creating good quality stuff then.
I mean, a good example of that is we worked with a mortgage broker a couple of years ago, a national mortgage broker. And we had what's used to be called a featured snippet at the top of Google before Google AI overview came in and you get all the automated responses. But it was for two particular phrases, and it was help to buy mortgages and right to buy mortgages. And they were getting, no word of a lie, about 10,000 visits to the website a month on those two search terms. Because a lot of people were looking for help to buy and right to buy mortgages. And we thought, that's amazing. Look what we've done for them. Fantastic. But the closure rate on those inquiries was really low, because most people that were inquiring about help to buy and right to buy weren't eligible. So their mortgage brokers, their account managers were wasting a lot of time dealing with inquiries that were just never going anywhere, when what they really wanted was commercial mortgages, semi-commercial mortgages, and buy-to-let mortgages, because they were quick decisions, they were high value, and it was people that had money and knew what they wanted, and they were all eligible. So we took the unusual decision from a digital marketing company's standpoint of actually taking that content down, costing them tens of thousands of visits to the website a month because now they weren't getting them, but their conversion rate absolutely shot up, and it was in the areas that they wanted. So that's the important thing. A lot of companies in my position would never have done that, because they'd say, well, our business is getting you more traffic, getting you more rankings, getting you more traffic. You deal with the other side of it, the business side of it. But no, we're going to look at that as well, because that's what's important to you.
That is the most important thing. Is like converting and your conversion rates. You know, if you've got 10,000 leads and your conversion rate is 1 or 2 out of that, you've got to sift through a great deal of minutiae to find the quality. So that makes an awful lot of sense. So, I mean, we invited you mainly because we're in the same room and I was struggling for guests. So,
cheers, mate. Appreciate that. I know he's kidding, but it still hurts.
No, it doesn't. You got broad shoulders and thicker skin.
You're going to pay for this, next time.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to see him in a week's time or 2 weeks' time. So, I'm going to get a pounding. And that's fair enough. That's fair enough. It's deserved. So, did you have a goal or, target for coming on my podcast? I know I invited you and you said yes, but you must have had a subliminal thought process around it. And I want to make sure we don't miss out
my
on
initial
that
goal obviously was to insult you as much as I can, which I think I've done that. Big tick there for me. But no, I just genuinely enjoy talking to people like you, Doug, because you get it. You ask the good questions. You understand what business is about. You understand what goals are about, what growth and scaling is about, and it's nice to talk to people like that. So, speaking to you, mate, honestly.
Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I don't think you've given me quite as much hassle or abuse as I was anticipating, but there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. Yeah.
There's still time. There's still time. So what would be a starting point for somebody where, really seriously, where would they be in their journey to need Darren's gang in their life?
Gang.
Well, it's not you anymore, is it? Because you say you delegate. He's delegated to elevate everybody. Delegate to elevate.
Delegate to elevate. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's 10 of them through that wall. Well, actually, 9 of them. One of them's on holiday. I don't know where. I don't know why we give him time off. It's old and frail. So yeah, there's 9 of them through that wall right now. So where would somebody be to need me? I'd say we do have clients that are startups that are fresh with ideas. So we've actually just put a website live for somebody that's a startup business. So he's a baker and he wants to run classes for people to come in and learn how to bake themselves, but to also do it. It's quite interesting. So it's from a business perspective as well. So it's like sort of a business mindset while baking, which is really interesting avenue for it. So like making sourdough, very difficult for me to explain. I think you need to see it. So that's from one angle, but also we work with a global franchisor with over 1,000 franchises in 5 different countries. So there is no end to the scale from where somebody is. They could be pre-revenue or they could be trading for 100+ years, as some of our clients have, genuinely over 100 years. It's more about the mindset of the person. Yeah. So it's where they are in their mindset that they want to grow. Where my business is right now, I want to do more with it. I want to expand it. I want to increase my revenue. I want to increase my profit. I want to scale my business, bring on new staff, or use AI to take away some of the processes that I'm doing now and make it automated. I want to do more. I want more leads. I want more inquiries. I want more of my ideal clients. That's where somebody needs to be for them to come to us. And if you're not interested in that, then we're probably not right for you. If you're of a case of, I just want a website, then just go and use Wix. You can get a website on Wix for free. If that's what you want, go and do that. You're not going to grow and scale a business by doing that, but you'll have a website. So if that's for you, fine. Go away and do that. But if you're the side where you say, right, I want to scale, I want to take this to the next level, that's where we can help you.
Okay, dokie. So if you're listening and you're scaling in the background here, folks, I'm going to make sure Darren's stuff is in the show notes now. I'm going to ask
scaling,
you,
not descaling. It's no good if they're descaling the kettle.
No. That's right. And that's the caliber of the jokes.
Shit. That's cold, Doug. Right.
So I'm gonna ask you now, and this might be difficult for you, but I'm gonna ask you for a golden nugget on goal setting. And I know you don't set goals, but a golden nugget on targets. Then,
Okay.
something the
Then
world
I'm
needs to
gonna-
know that we haven't touched on already.
I'm going to give the opposite advice that I've seen most people give. Most people say, set yourself achievable goals, smart goals, achievable, something you can do. Bollocks. I will say, set yourself the goal or the target that's as far away and as high to achieve as you possibly could imagine. This is the absolute pinnacle of what I want to do. This is, if I achieve that, then fuck it, I've really nailed it. And then see, how can I get to that? What possible way could I get to that? Because when I was watching that Top Gear episode and I saw that Aston Martin drive, I thought, yes, I wanted one, but there's no realistic way I was ever going to do that until I did.
Yeah.
When I was in employment, there was no realistic way I was going to start a business, own a building, and have a team of staff doing stuff for me until I did. Set the goal as unrealistic as you possibly can, and then think, how can I achieve that? Because if you set a goal that's sort of halfway down here and then you achieve it, you think, well, that was a bit easy. What next? Aim really, really, really high, as high as you possibly can. And if you think you're aiming too high, aim a bit higher. That's what I would say.
If you think it's too high, aim a bit higher.
No,
I like that. I do like that. So, anything else that you think we ought to know? I don't want, Darren to go, oh, shucks, I wish I had said this to Doug. I wish I'd cut him down with my witty repartee. or anything else that the world needs to know, according to Darren Jamieson.
I don't think I've ever said, oh, shucks, in my life. I'll say, what's the most important thing? I would say if you're looking at marketing for a business, as a lot of people should be, everybody should be, look at the right metrics, I'd say is the most important thing. We've been speaking to a lot of potential clients over the last few weeks who've said similar things because they've been speaking to other agencies. And those agencies have said to them that they can guarantee them. They can guarantee them rankings. I think you cannot do that. You cannot guarantee what Google's going to do. And even if you could, it's fucking irrelevant. Because where you rank in Google for something is irrelevant. The traffic you get to a website is irrelevant. The social media follows you have is irrelevant. The fact that I want to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, quite frankly, is irrelevant. It's a means to an end. Focus on what is really, really important. That's not even more inquiries. That's not even more sales. It's more profit. So you want to work on who are the most profitable customers for you, the most profitable clients. Who are the ones that are going to make you the most money or going to cause you the least amount of stress or going to pay on time? That's your goal. That's your target. And then work backwards from that. Don't let people lie to you and bullshit you and say, oh, I can get you to number one on Google for this keyword. So fucking what? I can get you lots of followers on social media. So fucking what? I see that all the time. I can get you 10,000 followers on Facebook. Piss off. Who fucking cares? That's not what's important. Focus on what matters and don't get distracted by all the bullshit in between.
Good one. Good one. Don't get distracted by all the bullshit. And there is loads of it.
There's loads of it.
I mean, there is loads of it. And, you just got to be on Facebook and click or spend too long on an advert, and that's your day gone, isn't it? Because it's like repeat. So I would say that, sort of don't go on Facebook, except that's obviously what you do to get people to buy your shit.
You don't have to do it yourself. You can get someone else to do it for you, but so long as they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
And the goals are right.
The goals. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to see you in a couple of weeks, and am I looking forward to it? People, I'm going to be in the audience. He's going to be on the stage, and I reckon there might be a little bit of shit coming my way. But
There
hey,
might be.
there might be. There might
Yeah.
be. But this, have we missed anything?
I don't think so.
No.
I mean,
No.
we haven't mentioned, I don't know if you quite see it, that we've both got the same chair.
Yes, that's right. We've both got a secret lab chair.
We've both got a secret lab chair, yeah. So if Secret Labs is watching this and wants to sponsor either of us, then we'll be happy with that.
More than happy, and we'll just lean over every now and again so that it's in the video. Mine looking better than yours. I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That's because I've got really studio lighting, so you can't see the chair behind me.
No problem.
Yeah.
I win on that one. So any sponsorship from Secret Lab to come my way, that would be great. Darren.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a thing. It's been a thing that has happened.
It's been a thing. It's been a thing that's happened. And, hopefully, somebody will get a little bit out of that. And we're going to make sure that your stuff is contained in the show notes. And do you have anything that people can find out a little bit more about your business? And, they call it a lead magnet, I think. And it's like where they click and they come in and they get a little bit to know about you and your business. And
well, I'll tell you what. One thing we're doing right now is because of the way AI is affecting search, and it is affecting search in a big way. We've been doing free overviews for people on their websites. So if you found that your site has lost leads, you've lost sales, you're losing customers, it's not what it was maybe 12 months ago. On our site, so engageweb.co.uk/site boost, SITEBOOST, you can go pop in your details in there, and we will do a completely free audit of your site to tell you where it's gone wrong, where the traffic has disappeared to, and what it is you can do to improve it. So engageweb.co.uk/site boost, and we'll do that for you. So that's any business, can be a startup, can be a multinational corporation, doesn't matter. You can be getting an agency already that's doing work for you, or you may not have anyone do it. You may be doing it yourself. Doesn't matter. We'll have a look for you, and that's free.
Okay, Site Boost will be contained in the show notes, so you'll be able to click on it. Anybody that's interested in that sort of stuff. Darren, I'll see you in a couple of weeks. It's been a joy.
Yes. Of all the podcasts I've been on, this has been one of them. Thank you, Doug.
Perfect.